Okay, so in this video I want to talk about a historical group called the Rajput, and they live in Rajasthan, north of India, and they are beginning in the early Middle Ages, and they original from the steppe, from the Scythians, or some group of the Scythians, some come to India, and they are a warrior culture very similar to like the Spartans or the samurais, or you can also say with chivalry and honor, like the medieval knight. The point where their life is to fight. They born to fight. They born to die in war, and for them is dishonor to die in bed. What I mean with that is to die of sickness. You have to die in battle to come to kind of I don't know the name of it, what they call it in India, but some kind of warrior heaven. So they have a goddess called Durga. So they sacrifice. They It's almost like when we are born. It's a joy for them. It's more like when they die is a joy. So they are born to fight, to die in battle, to sacrifice themselves to Durga, to her honor in battle. So they are, for example, if they one have like very long and they have been old, they try to call their enemies to meet them up someplace, so they can die an honorable death. So, for example, if a Rajput castle is occupied of enemy forces, they know they're gonna lose. The men will ride out and fight to the end, and their women will go. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube. Okay, I will try. The women will go to a funeral fire and burn themselves to death, to honor themselves in their culture, in their tradition. So they will burn them up, so they purify their souls. So the men will go out and die in the fight, and women will burn themselves to death if they know they will lose. And I think the same thing is also for example, if they have a male baby. Okay, maybe this is very sensitive. They will cut that baby with a sword if they is occupied it. If they know they're not gonna, they know they will lose. They have, because if the baby die of a sword, their baby also gonna come to warrior heaven, because a sword belongs to a weapon, and sword you use in war. So they are very warlike people, and still today they are very traditional with weapons. Like they always like you. It's very like almost you have ceremonies that, for example, if somebody will marry, and the person that will marry one of their from other Rajput kingdoms, because Rajput is many different kingdoms in India, in Rajasthan, many small kingdoms. So, for example, one of them have to marry for alliance. If one of them cannot go to marry, the man can send his sword, and the woman have to marry his sword instead. So you send a sword, a similar procession as you do with a marriage agreement with the sword. So the sword almost have their own life. There's almost like you can, almost like you take the Rajput, you can take the soul into the sword, and that is the same status as the person itself should be there with that sword. And the war tactic they use, always the war elephants. This is classical war elephants. The famous sword they use is the Kanda sword, and there's many different versions of Kanda. But the classical Kanda sword is the two-handed basket hilt sword. So you have a basket to protect your wrist, knuckles, knuckle guard, and you have a pommel that you can hold the sword in with two hands, um, and you also normally they also use that with a shield, a high shield, a round shield, or a buckle. The armor is more common. I think from beginning was the armor was more textile armor, where it's up to textile armor, and later on textile with chainmail, and then after the Islamic invasion, they used mail and plate armor. I think from around the Sultanate, Delhi Sultanate, around 11. Someone, if I say wrong now, somebody have to correct me in the comments. I think around the 11th century AD, the Islamic Sultanate. So also they have forward curved sword, almost like a kukri, but it's not backward curved; it's more forward curved sword. But and it's always a straight sword is the most common sword. The Kanda is the most popular sword for the Rajput, but obviously the Kanda, and later on the Kanda get the upgrade, and the Kanda get the Hindu basket hilt. So the Hindu basket hilt is later, and the Kanda blade is earlier. So and also one thing that is very famous for in India is to adopt different hilt and to take different swords and it's different from the hilt and put them together. For example, you can have like one example, and I think that is a Mughal. It's not Rajput, but it's I think the 7th century. It's a Kanda, it's a Hindu basket hilt, but the blade is not it's not a straight blade. It's a shamsher blade. It's very special. It's like you have this. How can I do a better? It's almost like, okay. Say that you have a katana. You have the handle of the katana and the ring. I don't know the name. I'm absolutely not an expert in katana at all. But you know what I mean. Like katana. But instead of katana blade, you have an European. You have a Viking blade from like 900 AD, for example. That's what I mean. Is you take different blades from different time period with different hilt from different time period. So they believe in the most important god for them is Durga, and they are Hindus. But the one thing that is special with the Rajputs is that they eat meat. They are they are exactly like in medieval knight. They like to hunt, and they like to paint hunting scenes. You can see some painting when they sit with a gun and shooting a deer. So they are they are a classical war people. They are people like to hunt. They like to show their hunt on paintings, exactly like medieval knights. They have castles, and they have the one thing that is very interesting with the Rajput, with the castle. They have like a thing around the castle, for example, and the door of the castle is always full with spikes, and that is because of to protect the castle against war elephants. So they have something that elephants are going to run around the castle. So the speed they lose. So elephant will lose speed, and then because the enemy is always, if for example one Rajput other king wants to attack the other one, they get their elephant drunk to charge the door. So instead to stop that, they put very heavy spikes on their protector door on the castle. To make them so the elephant cannot. If elephant tries to smash into the door, the elephant will get hurt because that is spear. But one thing I'm wondering with I heard that with the spikes on the door is that sometimes elephants also have armor. For example, later on the Mughals under Akbar, they have like mail and plate armor. So you have to have something that can stop, go in through the mail and plate to the elephant's skin to make it stop in, so they cannot go in right into the protected door. Um, yeah, that they have. So if it, one very was one story. Was one of Rajput and his soldiers, as the king and his soldiers, and one of them sacrificed themselves to win the war. So he put his body on the door and let the elephant charge his body. So the body was impaled, and he smashed up the door. So they come into the castle to conquer it. So that is something. But the Rajput are extremely warlike people. They are. It's the Indian version of the samurai, or the Indian version of the Spartans. They do everything to fight. They is honor to die in battle. They will not hesitate at all to fight. Very, and I have to say that is probably my favorite war people of all time is the Rajput. I really like the Rajput. I like their weapon. And one, if you want to read a good book about their arms and armor, is one author called Robert Elgood, and he's do very good books. I have 3 of his books, and he's made books from the Balkan War, Middle Eastern weapons, like from especially one book is only about weapons from Middle East, like Saudi Arabia, swords and guns and daggers. And I don't have that book, but every book he do is very good. It's extremely detailed. They describe like tradition, custom, warfare, and they are very expensive books, but they are very good books. If you want to learn and you want something with a beautiful picture and you want to learn something very details, I strongly recommend to look on Amazon or look on somewhere else on Robert Elgood, and you find amazing war history books. Wait, I will show one. Wait. Okay, here is one of the books he have made. You can see his name here, Robert Elgood, and that is book. This book is amazing. It's amazing pictures and amazing description for one of the Rajput kingdom. Rajput family, and here is, for example, a Kanda blade. But the one thing I have a problem is that when we talk about the Kanda, do we? And I'm not. That's the thing I never have learned. I have to explain the differences. Is the Kanda the hilt or the sword? Because, or is Kanda, do Kanda mean sword in Hindu? Because you can have so many different shapes of blades to different handles to the blade. So for me, it's always like complicated. Like when you say Kanda, do you mean the Hindu? Do you mean the straight sword, or do you mean the knuckle guard Hindu basket hilt? Or is just mean sword? Because we have, obviously in India they have many different kinds of sword from different time period. Like for example, I think the earliest swords are, I probably say wrong now, is the forward curved, and then later on with the rajput is the straight sword with some double H, and after that is the backward curved, and like the tulwara, and later on is the shamshir, because the connection with the Persian culture with the Mughals, obviously because the Mughals, lots of them, the Mughal not salt king. Sorry, I cannot say that right. It was Mughal kings. They import lots of famous Iranian painters to their court to paint for them, and lots of the Mughals speak Iranian, because they come from oh no, like Samarkand. They come from Samarkand, I think, yeah. And there, because of Timur was a patron of art, and some connection with Timur, and later on from Timurlink, Timurisk dynasty, and then the Mughals import. So same later on. So for regional it was then when Rajput have connection with the Mughals. Obviously, Mughals was not absolutely not the first Islamic kingdoms dynasty that was in India. The first one was the Delhi Sultanate, and they they were the first, like, but the Mughals was the first time to bring like Persian culture to that. So it was very, and after that, also was because some of the Rajputs was allied with the Mughals, because the Rajput married their some of their princess to the Mughal court, because to find islands, and they used them alliance to fight against other Rajput kingdom. So there was many different kingdom of the Rajputs. So there was not united kingdom. It was many small kingdoms. For example, like almost like in Europe, like with, like, for example, but yeah, in England or France. So I don't know. Yeah, so you can say, for example, it's like it's a classical. It's a it's a warlike traditional people that believe in war, in honor, and they are. It's, yeah, that you find in the samurai, that you find in the Spartans, that you find in the Vikings, that you find in the Zulu. Is same as the Rajput. The war is important for them, and that's their tradition. And even today, I think when you have a ceremony, you bless your weapon. It's almost like you go to a place and you get you bless, you pray for your weapon to be to pray that the guard is in the weapon, to make the weapon more deadly. Or for example, when they in war they use cannons, they sacrifice a goat, and they spill their blood over the cannons to make the cannon fire better in war. So they are, or they have balsam or some kind of holy water on the weapons, and to make it more deadly in war. And this kind of thing. So that is everything I really want to say about the Rajputs. That Rajput also means the son of king. And I strongly recommend this book. It's really, really good, this one. If you like it, bye.